How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Bear Down Uncut, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today we're going to be delving into our Instagram DMs and answering some Bears questions you guys had for us. This is going to be an extra long episode of Uncut 50. It seems like 50 episodes have flown by, so welcome back to the channel, guys. We're trying to get content out as much as possible. We've been taking a couple day breaks, but that being said, we're going to get out some very quality content when we are able to. I am your host, Chris Maltby, and today I am joined with my co-hosts Parth and Jaylen McClinton. Boys, it's been 5 days since we recorded because the last thing we did was that interview with Matt Bowen. So how are you guys doing? I haven't checked in a minute.
It's been awesome. Your birthday just passed, so happy birthday, Chris, everyone. Make sure you guys comment that down below.
Appreciate it.
It was Father's Day. It was Father's Day yesterday, so I spent some time with my dad. Went out golfing. Scored a little bit over 100, so don't want to talk about it. It's one of my worst days, but that's about it.
Jaylen, what's going on, buddy?
That's fun. I'm doing good. During the Matt Bowen interview, my call failed, so I didn't get to finish that interview. I heard it was a pretty good interview after watching it, but other than that, it was great to be back. And hopefully, the grind continues and stuff like that.
That's crazy because you were cut out of that interview after about 15 minutes, and it was the longest interview we've ever had.
I know. It was a good and bad thing, I guess. But
yeah.
Hey.
So obviously Parth mentioned it. I turned 20 this weekend. Kind of crazy. I'm definitely getting up there. But before we do start this one off, I would like to say, thanks to you guys, we are now able to actually make profit off of what we do and what we love to do. So now that we are making a little bit of money, we're going to be looking into new ways of recording to get better audio from Parth and Jaylen, because the way that we record right now, I'm the one recording kind of my home studio type of thing, and their audio needs to be a little bit better. Thumbnail quality is going to improve. Everything's going to improve, and we're looking into ways just to reinvest into Bear Down and make everything better, and we're also going to be doing some giveaways. So if you are new to the channel, do us a favor, click the red button to subscribe and the bell for notifications whenever we post. Also, if you are returning to the channel, do us a favor and smash a like. So today, episode 50 of Uncut, we've got a lot of questions to answer. We had a lot of people submit some great questions on Instagram, and I hope you people from Instagram are tuning in because we're definitely using a fair bit of your questions. But here's one that we can start off with. I love the questions. Last time we did this, someone asked who our favorite guest was on the show, and I love the questions about Bear Down and personal life. So here's the first one. How has the journey of starting Bear Down been until now for each of you guys? So I'm going to start off by answering that one myself. Obviously started Bear Down back in 2018, and we weren't really doing much there for a couple of years. I had a couple of videos that blew up. I remember one of the first videos that blew up on this channel was the reaction to the Khalil Mack trade. And it was a pretty consistent grind, but that being said, I'm pretty sure that Parth and Jaylen can both agree with me that we all weren't as dedicated as we have been basically since 2020 into pumping out content. So coming into 2020, at least for me, one site that we take a ton of royalty in inspiring us is the Chicago Audible. And the next step for the Chicago Audible really was starting a website and making it a multimedia brand. And we're all college-age students, and we wanted to, when I look forward down the road for me, when I am applying to get an actual job sometime down the road, it sounds crazy, but I am 20 years old. I want stuff that differentiates me from the other candidates who are trying to get my job, and I wanted to make this a thing. I wanted to put all I had into it to make it a passion for me, and it's been going great since then. Obviously, we were around 600 subscribers when we started the website, when we launched the website back in, I think, about March, and now obviously we're coming up on 1.8K. The growth wouldn't be possible without you guys, but it's been a long journey. But these last couple of months, I will say, have been very rewarding for me, and they're only going to power me to keep putting out more content on the website, more content on Instagram, and obviously make more YouTube videos for our fans here. So, Parth, I'm going to pass it to you. How has the journey of starting Bear Down been for you until now? Because obviously, when we reached out to you for this, way back in 2018, Jaylen and I had these two really small fan pages, and you were really getting up on the scene.
So we started this in 2018. I was, I think, 16 years old at the time. I'm 18 currently. Going to be entering college this year. So, yeah. But back then when we first started, I did not expect us to get to this pay. First of all, at 1.7K subscribers where we're at. We're currently, we started off, the grind wasn't there as much. Like you said, we slacked off a little. We just made videos here and there. But here we are now making videos almost every day, pumping out content for you guys. And I think we're all grown as speakers too. If you look back at it, like, I mean, I used to be terrible. I used to be terrible. I still think I'm not the best, but it takes a lot of time to practice. And like you said, when you want that job, you got to differentiate yourself. And this is the best way to do it. And I feel like us three that have started this brand, and especially you, Chris, it's just great to see it grow like this. And can't wait to keep pumping out and keep seeing where this brand goes.
I mean, I'm excited for the season because, I mean, we did put out a lot of content during the 2019 season, but I think it's not even going to compare to the content we put out in the 2020 season. But that's a good point you bring up there, Parth. Growing as public speakers. If you guys ever do want to grow as public speakers, get in front of a camera, get in front of a microphone, and just speak. I think that's also something that I've definitely taken from this. We were all really kids when this started, but definitely have grown in the public speaking aspect as much as we get comments on our videos that we have annoying voices. So, Jaylen, I'm going to pass it to you. I'm not going to read the question exactly how it was posed, but what has this experience been like for you? What has it brought to you?
Man, it's been a crazy experience. I'm the youngest out of all the people from the writers to you guys. I'm one of the youngest, and I've grown a lot. As a person, as a Bears fan, I've learned a lot of stuff when it comes to football and just speaking in general. I got a lot of opportunities. I would never thought in my entire life that I would get to speak to a Bears player. We spoke to Prince Umukamara, spoke to a lot of people that work on ESPN, and I never thought that I would be able to do that. My fan page hasn't really grown like that. When I first met Chris, I had way more followers than him. He has completely surpassed me. It's probably because I've been slacking a lot on that. But, congratulations to him. I'm never going to be a person to bring on somebody's downfall. So I'm really happy the way that we've grown as a YouTube channel. We have a website now. I have Parth and like I said, Chris has grown at Instagram pages. And stuff like that. My hair has gone through a lot too. I've changed. I had a lot of different hairstyles since 2018, man. And a lot of the old followers back when we used to do face cams, but totally realized that. So it's been a great journey. I enjoyed everything that we've been through.
It's ridiculous. I think if I told you guys that we were going to be talking to football players and creating legitimate connections within the industry and stuff like that back when we started this, you guys would have been like, how is that possible? But somehow, it just clicked for us, and we're going to run with it, and we're going to keep making content for you guys. So that's kind of our synopsis on what this journey has been like. Take from that what you would like to. And if you have any more questions about how this has all started, do us a favor. You can reach out to us. So be sure to go find us on Instagram. So next question, now finally getting into some Bears football stuff, not as emotional. One person asked me on Instagram, who do you have as the number one Bears fantasy player in 2020? And this one might shock you a little bit. I mean, obviously you could pick Bears defense, special teams. I think they're going to finish as a top unit. In regards to fantasy football, I'm a pretty avid fantasy football player myself. But I'm going to go with David Montgomery in PPR leagues. You look at Allen Robinson, he's going to get a ton of targets, a ton of touchdowns. But Matt Nagy has committed to keeping the run game going this year. He did a very lackluster job with getting Montgomery touches last year, whether it was week 1 where Mike Davis had more carries than Montgomery, or throughout the season. There were some games that were heavy run, some games that were no run, and if David Montgomery is going to have consistent chances to get the ball out of the backfield, I not only think that he's going to strive, but you also have to think about him in a PPR league where a catch counts as a point in fantasy football. He's going to catch a lot of balls. He's a great receiving back, a really good meld just of an all-around running back, and I sure hope he can take off in 2020, and therefore I think I'm going to have him as my number one Bears fantasy football player. Parth, I'm going to pass it to you. If you want to repeat my answer, you can, but go for it. Who do you think is going to be the number one Bears fantasy producer in 2020?
I'm also going to agree with you in David Montgomery, and I think 2018, Tariq Cohen was the top 10 or top 12 fantasy back. I don't remember exactly for PPR leagues, and if Montgomery can take I don't expect Montgomery to take all of Cohen's catches away, but a good amount of catches will be taken away, and I think Montgomery's got a lot to learn, a lot to grow. He's definitely going to grow as a player. He's just going to get much better. So he's going to get more touches this year. That's what Matt Nagy emphasized on in his press conferences this off season. So if that all happens, I think Montgomery can become a top 10 fantasy back this year.
Absolutely. Jaylen, what do you think? Do you think David Montgomery is going to produce this year, or who else do you think will step up on the Bears as a fantasy football target?
I'm gonna go with David Montgomery this year. I'm gonna keep a short answer because y'all basically explained it in last answers. I definitely think he's gonna get a lot of catches out the backfield. Hopefully he get more touches and rushing touchdowns and stuff like that. I definitely expect him to have a big season. Especially if this O-line improves, he didn't have the best average yards per carry, but he still managed to have over 1,000 yards scrimmage. And especially, I want him to do good because I gave into the hype last year in his rookie season. I drafted him in the 3rd round, and he kind of disappointed me the first 8 games of the season. So hopefully he does better.
Absolutely. So the next question we're going for, and it's been such a highly discussed topic on the channel here, but are you pulling more for Trubisky to win the job or Foles? And also, what will happen if there is training camp versus no training camp? So I'm going to go first. If there's training camp, I'm probably pulling for Foles, and I'll tell you why. You know what? Mitchell Trubisky, obviously the in-house name, and we've seen how hard he's been working this offseason. It's been well documented, but that being said, I'm sure Foles is still doing what he can down in Florida. But if we can get into training camp, Foles is going to be able to build chemistry with receivers, and that's basically the only upper hand Trubisky has right now, because Foles still does have the playbook. Foles is getting the plays down, but I would like to see him have some chemistry with his receivers, because I will admit, if he does start week 1 and there's basically no preseason, no training camp, that could get a little bit messy. But if there is no training camp, I'm going to pull for Trubisky. He's been working with the guys this offseason. I've seen Cole Kmet get in with him. He's been working with some great quarterback coaches. Look, all in all, I want there to be a training camp because I've said it in the past. It's either going to be a good Mitchell Trubisky who finally shows some improvement, or it's going to be Nick Foles stepping up to take the job. So if there is no training camp, I'm going to pull for Mitchell Trubisky, and if there is, obviously, I'm going to pull for Nick Foles. Jaylen, I'm going to pass it to you because I think you're going to have the same answer either way here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the same answer. It's gonna be Mitchell Trubisky. Everybody knows that I'm pulling for Mitch. I'm the biggest Mitch fan right now. He's been putting in a lot of work in the offseason, working with quarterbacks coaches who's worked with Patrick Mahomes and Jimmy G, who both made it to the Super Bowl last season. Both made it to the Super Bowl last season. So I'm pulling for Mitch. Even if we do have a training camp, if Nagy lets Mitchell be Mitchell and run the ball when nobody's open and make plays or make the play longer for wide receivers to get open or just use his feet, I feel like Mitchell's going to win the competition regardless. So I'm pulling for Mitch.
Yeah, Jaylen brings up a really good point there with Mitch running the ball. Obviously, I think he had less than half of the rushing yards he had in 2018 there in 2019. And if you want to see tape of him running the ball, just pull up the 2019 game against the Dallas Cowboys. That was an exquisite performance put on by Mitchell Trubisky. Parth, I want to ask you, obviously we've discussed it a ton on this channel, and we're amidst some really weird times right now, obviously, with the coronavirus. I will say Illinois is doing very good in regards to, coming down. Obviously hit our peak a while ago. Illinois is actually going to enter Stage 4 of the Restore Illinois plan this Friday on June 26th. But, Parth, I'm going to ask you, if there's no training camp or some sort of revised training camp, who are you rooting for? And if we do get a full or mostly full training camp in, who are you going to be rooting for to win the quarterback competition?
Before I answer that question, I'm going to talk about that coronavirus thing. You're talking about Stage 4. Apparently, we were allowed to have 20% capacity at football games at Stage 4. That's what it says. So hopefully we can attend training camp at 20% capacity. I will literally camp out for days to attend training camp. Just put that out there. But going back to what your question was, I'm pulling for Mitch. I've been a Mitch supporter since he was drafted. Was hyped the day he got drafted. I started Trubisky Nation. Here I am sitting with 21-point-something followers on my Instagram page about him. And it could all go to waste if he doesn't show up. And I need him to show up to keep my page alive, basically. And it's just – and I love the guy. I mean, at the end of the day, he's my quarterback. It'd be really weird to see Nick Foles come in and play for us, especially how much I hated him after that Eagles game that we had in the playoffs. But again, nothing against Nick Foles. Whoever can win the job is going to be my quarterback, and that's going to be the guy who's going to lead us to the championship at the end of the day. Yeah,
Parth, you might have to dish out some money on Instagram to get Foles Nation if Foles does start. Just saying, I know someone already has that page. But that being said, I think we can all agree that the best quarterback is going to be the one that deserves to go out there. So heading into the next question, Who do you think will see the most snaps this year at wide receiver? Pick 2. Ginn, Wims, Mooney, and Ridley. This is a very interesting question. I'm going to go first. I'm going to say Ted Ginn and Riley Ridley. Obviously the Bears invested a 7th-round pick in Javon Wims, but with them investing, I think, a 4th-round pick in Riley Ridley in 2019, I think it's got to be prioritized that he is going to see the field more here in 2020. Mike Furry, the wide receivers coach, recently came out and said that he is going to surprise people this year. Out of all the receivers, he picked Riley Ridley to surprise people the most. And then obviously, you look at Ted Ginn. Speed is speed at the end of the day. He is getting old, but he has proven that he can still turn on the burners. So Jaylen has said in the past he thinks Ginn's going to struggle with injuries, but I think if Ginn can stay healthy, he will see a lot of snaps this year, and Nagy will use him to his fullest potential. So, Jaylen, I'm going to pass it to you now. Who do you think will see the most snaps this year at wide receiver? Pick 2, Ginn, Wims, Mooney, Ridley.
I'm gonna go with Wims and Ridley. Wims, he didn't have the season that I wanted him to have last year. Only had over 100 receiving yards, scored his first touchdown though. He definitely deserves snaps. This offseason we released Taylor Gabriel, who was our number 2 / slot, and now Anthony Miller will go to the number 2, and we basically have nobody for the number 3. Is going to be a competition. So if it's not a training camp, I'm gonna go with Wims, and he splits receptions with Ridley. Like you said, our wide receiver coach is a big fan of Ridley, and I definitely can see him being a sleeper pick for us if he has the opportunities to get, like I said, get into the game. So I'm gonna go with Wims and Ridley right there.
All right, Parth, what are you thinking?
I've been a Riley Ridley fan my whole entire time. I guess I've been a Bears fan. I really want Riley Ridley to come in and step up. So as I said, I think he can be our wide receiver 3. So I think Riley Ridley's definitely gonna get the most playing out of the time out of all of them. And I don't like talking about injuries, but Anthony Miller's had a lot of injuries in the past. So if it did come down to that, Riley Ridley could definitely be a solid wide receiver 2 if needed. And another guy to step up out of those guys, I'm going to agree with you, Chris, and go with Ted Ginn. I was going to take a bold take before the show started and say Darnell Mooney, but that would just been stupid. I think Ted Ginn is the most experienced guy of everyone there. He's the speedster to replace Taylor Gabriel, basically. He's going to – I think Matt Bowen said this, where he said, he can run the go route, basically, and have our other guys run the in route and stuff to free up some space. A lot of technical football that Matt Nagy likes to use, I guess. I think Ted Ginn is the perfect example for that.
Absolutely.
Don't sleep on Cash Mooney, though.
Yeah, it's true, though. If you look at the past of what the Bears do with their wide receivers from the draft, at least the last couple of years, we've seen them get limited stats and try and kind of breed them on the bench throughout time. Yeah. So next question is an interesting one, and it's probably going to be the last one of this episode. Who will have the better season out of the linebackers, Danny Trevathan or Roquan Smith? This is a pretty easy one for me, and it's nothing against Trevathan, but I'm going to go with Roquan Smith. 121 tackles in his rookie season, 101 tackles in his sophomore season, missing 4 games. I think it's obviously got to be Roquan. It's his year to pop out. He spoke about how important year 3 is in the NFL in regards to, earning extensions on the team you're already on. We're seeing that play out right now with Trubisky. Obviously, year 3 was important for him in that decision to turn down his 5th-year option. And obviously Roquan's not entering that territory whatsoever. But I think Roquan Smith is going to pop out this year. He was going to crush his sacks, his combined tackles, and his tackle for loss rate if he played a full 16 games in 2019. So that being said, if he can stay healthy and have no personal issues, and that's not a knock on him, in 2020 and play the entire season, Roquan Smith is absolutely going to kill it in my mind. And, you still can't underestimate everything Trevathan does. But, Jaylen, I'm going to pass it to you. Who do you think has a better season in 2020? Danny Trevathan or Roquan Smith?
I think this is going to be Roquan right here, too. Roquan is a very good linebacker. He's a top 10 linebacker in this league. In my opinion, we drafted him at number 8 for a reason. He had a great rookie season. Like you said, he was going to have a better sophomore season if he didn't get hurt. And I expect him to have a great third season. Like you said, last year he had that game where he was having personal issues and nobody really knew what was going on. But right after he came back for that, he played well and up until he tore his pectoral muscle. So if he can come in and, stay healthy, be Roquan and not have any off the field issues, I feel like this is going to be a Pro Bowl, all-pro season for Roquan.
Yeah. Parth, what do you think, Roquan or Danny Trevathan?
This one's really easy. It's Roquan Smith, and it's by a mile. Nothing against Danny Trevathan, but he's getting up there in age. At first, I was a little questionable with actually even signing him over Nick Kwiatkowski, but I understood how Danny's been here for a long time. He knows how the system works, and all the familiarity around the defense. Well, Nick Kwiatkowski is a little different story, I guess, but Roquan Smith's definitely a Pro Bowl level linebacker. I think he takes the big leap. I know we made an episode on this a couple weeks ago. Make sure you guys go check that out. I think we both predicted like 120 plus tackles for him this year, so big year coming for Roquan Smith.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 50 of Uncut. A 20-minute episode, definitely a special one, and we haven't made a video in a couple days. So thank you guys for your garnered support. If you want more content from us, do us a favor, head over to beardown.com. We haven't posted on there for a couple days. We gave the writers a couple days off as well, but we're going to get stuff back and up and going on the website tomorrow. You can also find the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at beardown. If you follow us on any social media, you'll see that we post. We give you guys updates whenever we post new articles. We give sneak peeks to new podcasts. We also ask you guys to help us pick topics for Uncut and stuff like that, so it's pretty interactive. And also, if you want to follow our Bears fan pages on Instagram, the links to those are in the description. Feels good to be back, boys. 50 episodes of Uncut absolutely flew. Parth, Jaylen McClinton, any last words, guys?
Yeah, 50 did fly. I feel like we just talked about starting this Uncut idea like a week ago, but time goes by fast, as you can see.
I'm going to try to keep my answer short. My mom had called me during the episode, and I declined her call. She's not very happy. Other than that, bear down and make sure you guys are staying safe. That's about it.
Absolutely, guys. Bears fans, entering stage 4, things are finally turning around in Illinois. But do us a favor, continue to practice social distancing, continue to be safe, and as always, bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.